Okay, we're back. That was fast. Thank you for coming back again. This is where we're going to sew the paper into the book. So I've got the back cover here. I'm going to take my first signature and unfold it. Make sure you're unfolding it all the way. And I'm going to start from the inside and pull the needle from the inside to the outside of that first hole. And you'll want to go ahead and pull it through till you've got a small tail on the inside, not huge, but just enough that you can grab onto to tie a knot and hold it there. Just hold it there with your fingers. And then so I'm going to put the back cover in. Slide that back cover right under there, and here I am coming out that hole. I'm going to go around the cover and go from the bottom to the top and push through that cover. See? There's my needle coming right through the cover. Just going to pull it through. Make it nice and firm. Don't pull too hard. If you make your stitches too tight, it gets really hard to sew. And then I'm actually going to go straight back through that hole right there that I sewed out of to start with in the paper, the first hole in the paper. So I'm going to go back through. Here's the needle coming. See, there's where I'm holding my thread. It's coming right back through there. And you're going to pull it nice and firm. And then you'll want to stop and tie your knot. Okay, one knot is probably sufficient. I like to tie two because the idea of doing all this work and then having my book come apart is not a happy thought for me. Okay, so I've got that tied in there. I don't have to worry about it, my thread slipping out. So then I'm going to go from the inside to the outside on the next hole. And again, we're going to go around the bottom of the cover and up through, pull it tight, and then go back through that hole again. Oops. Back through the inside, and then next hole, inside to outside, through the hole in the cover, pull it tight, and make sure your paper's slid to the edge each time you pull that tight so you know exactly where that is. And then put your put your yarn or your needle back through that same hole again. Now here's where it gets a little bit different. Pay attention. So we go back through this hole again, through the last hole, into the outside. And I'm still going to go up through the hole in the cover. But then, instead of going back through that hole, you don't want to do that. So you're going to stop with right before you go back through that hole. Your thread's still on the outside. Then you're going to pick up your second signature. And you're going to open it right at the center crease. Make sure you get it right at the center. You're going to open it and set it right on top. And then you're going to take this thread and go in through the hole on the next signature. And then pull that through. And then, remember this part, don't be afraid to come back and watch this part of the video like every time you have to sew a notebook. I have to do that all the time. Then you're going to go ahead and instead of coming back out, you're going to skip over, you're going to skip directly over to the next hole from the inside to the outside. And then you're going to slip your needle. Since I'm sewing in this direction, I'm going to slip my needle in the opposite direction right underneath, and I wish my camera caught this a little clearer, right underneath the loop from the previous row, from the layer before. So I'm just going to slip it under there in the opposite direction and pull it through that loop. So I got it. I just have it through the loop. So what it's doing is wrapping around that previous layer And then I'm going to go back through that hole. Sorry if you hear somebody knocking and saying, Mama, my little girl's outside my door trying to get in. Okay, and then pull that through. Alright, and then next hole from the inside to the outside. Sometimes I get my yarn caught up. Just be patient with it. Inside to the outside, slip my yarn under the previous layer in the opposite direction that I'm sewing. And then go back through that hole, like so. And then inside to the outside on the last hole. And just remember, on these end holes, you never go back through the hole. So I go under that loop, just like I did in all the other ones, but then I stop and add the next signature. And here's where this video might get a little monotonous, because like I said, I'm not going to mess around with time-lapsing or speeding it up or messing with it, so you're going to have to watch me do this. You can fast forward if you want to. From here on out, it's going to be about the same until I get to the back cover. So, just hang out for a minute. So then I had gone under the loop the previous layer before, so now I'm going to go from the outside to the inside on that first hole, and then skip again directly over to the next hole. And pull that. And then now that I'm sewing this direction, I'm going to insert my needle that way. I'm not sure if it really makes a difference which way you insert your needle under, but this is just the way I do it. I'm afraid to try it any other way, so that's how I'm telling you to do it. And then back through the hole. This way. Try to sew kind of fast so you guys don't have to sit here forever. But I honestly, if I haven't made a notebook in a week, I'll have to go back to the video where I learned it from and watch it again because I forget. Pull it back through. This is the end hole, so I'm still going to loop it through, but then what do I not do? I don't go back through. I skip to the next signature. You guys are so smart. Open it up and go from the outside to the inside. And this is where, like, if you're using, okay, and then skip directly over to the next hole. And this is where if you've like pulled your thread way too tight, and I do this all the time because I'm kind of a tense person. If I pull my thread too tight while I'm sewing, it can be really hard to get your needle underneath the layer before, and that makes it a little harder to work with. So around, back through that hole. Man, we are flying here. We're almost done. I don't know if I can get finished before I switch to another video. I don't want to have to cut my videos, so I'm trying to record them within YouTube's time limit. It says they have a 15-minute time limit, but I would cry if I had a 15-minute video and it didn't upload the last, like, minute and a half or something. So underneath, back through, and then inside to the outside. You guys are probably yawning at this point. That's okay. Take a nap. Not very long one though. See? On the end hole so you don't go back in. This is my last signature. Since I'm on the end hole, I just go directly over to the next hole. Inside to outside. Sorry if I keep moving out of frame. I'm got the camera above me so I can't really see what I'm doing. And I'm more of watching what I'm sewing than watching what the camera's seeing. And if you get the papers, kind of, you can't really see it here, crappy camera. You can't really see I've got some of the pages wrinkled from when I shoved the needle through, so I'm just going to take the needle and run it and flatten those out a little bit. Like stick it between the layers and kind of push it down. It just helps to smooth it out so you don't end up with wrinkly paper. Nobody likes wrinkles unless they're in a puppy or a baby. Okay. These notebooks make such cute gifts too. They really do. Almost done. Oh, and I am actually almost out of time on this video, so I'll do just a quick separate one to show how to attach the back cover. I apologize if this thing is going to end up being in 5 parts or whatever, but better that than messing it up. So I'll be right back. I still got pulled out the last hole, and I still got my thread outside, so be right back.